So how are you doing? Wonderful to be with you this evening. I want to thank everybody that has been tuning in on Sundays at 7 p.m. for Divas Simply Quarantined. Fabulous in isolation. Last week's guest, Deborah Cox, was so wonderful. Scott and Vincent, the founders of Better Brothers, wonderful conversations. Next week, we've got comedians Lunel and Flame Monroe, both of them. They've got so much to say. I'm telling you, I find very often comedians are some of the brightest people around. I don't know if you've been looking at my item. Well, I know you have been, because I can see how many of you have seen it. Sashir Zamata, I had to post some of her up on my IG page, and so brilliant with her humor, and I just love her, and I'm glad you all love her too. And thank you to everybody that has been going to my IG page, following the link, and ordering your masks and your t-shirts. Please continue to spread the word about the vote, because let me tell you something this year. If half of you who didn't vote last time in the presidential election, if only half of you vote this year, we're winning. And there's that song, and there's a lyric. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam, God bless America, my home, sweet home. It's that part, from the mountains to the prairies. You might not think about it, but there are a whole lot of people living in those mountains and on the prairies. You hear me? They're on their farms. They're out there with the cattle. And trust me, they may not be voting the way you're voting. They're voting for that man that already has that top position. And there are a lot of us who know and are working very hard to get him out, because he's got to go. So you think there's a lot of you out there protesting? There are a lot of them out there grazing cattle and tending their farms. And they're quiet right now. In fact, they are a silent group, and a whole lot of them out there. Right. So we've got our work ahead of us. So don't you give up now, because you've got the right to protest peacefully. You've got the right for the pursuit of happiness. You have the right to be able to live your life, fall asleep in a Wendy's drive-through line, and not feel that you're going to die, or you should lose your life for that. I'm just saying. Now, my son, Etienne, on his own, I had nothing to do with it, had an incredible walk-run last week, Saturday morning. He's doing it again Friday as we celebrate Juneteenth. He's doing it Friday. So if you are in the Olympic and Rimpaw area across the street from LA High, come on out with your mask, with your water. Get ready to walk and run for peace, love, and justice for all, because all Black lives matter. All Black lives matter. Yes, they do. I'm reading. And in this book, there's an interesting page. It says, establish a private life. Establish a private life. Nastier rulers will use what they know about you to push you around. Scrub your computer of malware on a regular basis. Remember that email is skywriting. Yeah, you may think it's private, but it's like writing on the sky. Everybody can read it. Consider using alternative forms of the internet, or simply use it less. Have personal exchanges in person. Not everything needs to be written down on the internet. It stays there forever. Somebody can find it and use it against you. For the same reason, resolve any legal trouble Resolve it. Don't let it go. Don't think it just because you don't deal with it, it's going to go away. Resolve your legal problems. Tyrants seek the hook on which to hang you. Let me just repeat that. Tyrants seek the hook on which to hang you. Try not to have any hooks. What the great political thinker Hannah Arendt meant by this word gets me all the time. Totalitarianism, right, was not an all-powerful state, but the erasure of the difference between private and public life. We are free only insofar as we exercise control over what people know about us and in what circumstances they come to know it. Follow along now. During the campaign of 2016, we took a step towards totalitarianism. You know what I meant, totalitarianism, without even noticing, by accepting as normal the violation of electronic privacy. Whether it is done by American or Russian intelligence agencies, or for that matter, any institution, the theft, discussion, or publication of personal communications destroys a basic foundation of our rights. If we have no control over who reads what and when, we have no ability to act in the present or plan for the future. Whoever can pierce your privacy can humiliate you and disrupt your relationships at will. No one, except perhaps a tyrant, has a private life that can survive public exposure by hostile directive. You all? When I think about these things, I'm like, we've got to just stop and take actions of what's going on around us, because we're not paying attention enough. When we take an active interest in matters of doubtful relevance at moments that are chosen by tyrants and spooks who participate in the demolition of our own political order, to be sure, we might feel that we are doing nothing more than going along with everyone else. This is true, and it is what Arendt described as the devolution of a society into a mob. We can try to solve this problem individually by securing our own computers. We can also solve it collectively by supporting, for example, organizations that are concerned with human rights. That part. Human rights. They matter. All human rights matter, and all Black lives matter. And you know what's interesting about that? Because until you can say it, believe it, feel it, and know it, then they don't. And there are a lot of people out there, from the oceans to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam, who, God bless America, do not feel that Black lives matter. But you and I know they do. Good night.